Let's talk about tilting. Shoulder down, the next two words in the Stack and Tilt 10-word template, really discusses the emphasis and the necessity to tilt during the golf swing, and it's tilting that really defines the game. The best golfers tilt more than the poorest golfers, and today we're going to talk about shoulder down and the effect and impact it has on your golf score. So what is shoulder down and why is it so important? Well, it really describes the tilting element of the swing, as I've already mentioned. That's the idea that as the golfer turns in the backswing, the downswing and the follow through, they do so on a tilted angle. And it's the tilting of the shoulders to the left on the backswing for a right-handed golfer, and then to the right on the follow through for a right-handed golfer. It's that tilting that helps the golfer to, number one, stay centered from the front view. That removes excessive or unwanted sway to the left or the right that you'd see if the shoulders weren't tilting appropriately. And from a down the line view, it really is the essence of maintaining this inclination to the ground, keeping my head on the wall as I swing back, down, and into the follow through. And maintaining the inclination to the ground throughout the golf swing has many, many benefits. It has a positive impact on the likelihood of controlling the contact, the strike, hitting the center of the club face. And it also has a very positive influence and gives us a much likely outcome as far as swing direction is concerned. So maintaining this inclination or these tilts throughout the swing helps the golfer to swing straighter, and that aids with the entire directional control of their shots as well. Simply put, if you do the tilting correctly, then from the front view, you're going to see this left shoulder move down towards the center of the golfer's body. This lead shoulder is going to move down into the middle of my center, and that's going to keep my head still. And if you look at from down the line, you're going to see a similar picture as well. If I tilt the right amount, my head is going to stay in very much the same position, and my tailbone here is also going to stay in place as far as a head on the wall and keeping my butt on the wall as well. And those would be considered desirable things to look for in the most consistent golf swings. So simply put, doing this correctly means your head's going to stay steady. It's going to stay pretty still. If I was to put a circle around it from this front view and from down the line, you're going to see very little in terms of the changing of that head position. And that would be in stark contrast to how golfers who tilt the wrong amount would see their head movement throughout the swing. I'll put it like this. The typical pattern of poor tilting from the front view has this lead shoulder moving too level to the ground. So the shoulder doesn't have a downward component, it's too flat or level, which means the shoulders themselves turn too level to the ground. Once you do that, you'll see how the head moves both from the front view and from down the line. And in this position here, the golfer's in trouble. If they are going to make any sort of contact, they typically need to lift their arms. And this also tends to shift the swing direction away from the target. So even if you do make reasonable contact, the directional control of this shot is very difficult to take care of. Occasionally you'll see someone tilt too much. That would look like this, where the lead shoulder goes down excessively, and from the down the line view, the head actually drops towards the ground. Not seen as often as the first mistake that I described, but it's certainly possible. So a very easy checkpoint, as I've already touched on for you. If you're filming your swing, put a circle around your head from the front view and from down the line, and as you make your backswing and as you hit your shots, you're going to see that the head stays much more inside the circle if you're doing the right amount of tilting. That was a pretty nice one. Tiny little push draw. Swing direction was 0.0 degrees. That means the club, or the arc of the club, the path of the club at the bottom of the swing was pointing directly at the target. And that's a good thing if you're looking to learn to control the direction of your shots. It would be without doubt my experience of watching highest handicap golfers struggle with tilting, whether that's the appropriate amount on the backswing, or very often insufficient tilting in the follow through, where the head comes up and the trail shoulder here, the right shoulder for me, comes up away from the ground in the follow through. So the inability to control the tilts throughout the swing leads to some chaotic contact and some difficulty controlling direction. So if you film yourself and you notice your head's moving up and down and left and right, this exercise right now is where you should start. I would encourage you to do this from the beginning, start out small and gradually build up until your competency improves. One of my favorite exercises of all is head on the wall drill. It's very simple in terms of its concept, but it trains some very, very vital movements in the backswing, the downswing, and the follow through. Super simple concept. Stand up against the wall, just have your touch point on your head, and taking your golf posture, you can either place your hands across your chest. I quite like to mimic a real grip here and hold an imaginary golf club down at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is, as I move into the backswing, I'm going to complete my backswing while maintaining this touch point with my head. That tells me I've made the appropriate amount of tilting. If I wasn't to tilt sufficiently, or if my head was to come off the wall, that would be a telltale sign that I'm doing it wrong. So it's a really nice way to blend the turning and the tilting, utilizing the knees, the hips, the pelvis, and the torso here to get the shoulders to turn on that tilted angle in the backswing. And once you've done that, you can also move into the downswing, ensuring that there isn't that horrible early extension where the head comes off the wall and again the tilts are lost. The touch point with the head would remain into the downswing, impact, and all the way to the follow through. So I'm still able to just gently touch the wall and tilt to the right in the follow through, just as I was tilted to the left in the backswing. That's an exercise you can do at home. Again, you don't need to go to the driving range. You can stand up right now and practice that. Learning to tilt the appropriate amount in the backswing, downswing, and follow through will build in a level of consistency, a real foundation to your swing that probably doesn't exist right now. So having completed the head on the wall practice and getting a sense of how to incorporate the left tilt in the backswing and then replace it with the right tilt in the follow through, that's going to be a great start point now for you to go and start hitting balls. You want to keep filming yourself to make sure that you're keeping your head fairly centered from this front view, and the down the line view, particularly important that head's staying on the wall throughout the backswing, the downswing, and the follow through. As you practice swinging from left arm parallel to the ground in the backswing, it's called position 3. So 2/3 of a backswing into a position where the arm's more or less parallel to the ground in the follow through. And you can keep that structure and that half swing to start with while keeping the tilt in place, keeping the head on the wall. As I say, you're going to be building the foundations for something that's much more consistent than your current action. Nice little push, draw, very straight swing direction again. And it's probably got about 90% of full distance, despite it not being a full swing. The goal here is to build in the element of consistency with contact and direction via the correct tilts. Shoulder down on the backswing, shoulder down on the follow through. The more you do that, the better golfer you'll be. My final thoughts on tilting before I let you go and shoulder down would be that for the most part, it's the tilting that you're not doing enough of, and it's the turning or the rotation that you're typically doing too much of. And that's because for the most part, the rotational piece in the backswing has been the bit that's talked about the most. You have to turn, you have to get rotation, and in doing so, the concept of turning often leads to the shoulder moving too level to the ground. If you tilt to the left, as you turn to the right, you tilt in the opposite direction of the turn. The tilting element helps to keep everything centered from this view, and as we've already said, keeps everything inclined to the ground from down the line. So you don't need to turn more, you need to tilt more. So there you have it, shoulder down, which really describes the tilting, which is fundamental to good golf. Get this right and your golf game will improve significantly. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Adding to the community of golfers we have here, I'll be putting out new content regularly to help you play better golf. So we've covered the first 4 words of the Stack and Tilt 10 word template. It's time to move on to the next video, which is right here. This one talks about hands in and the effect that that could have on improving your ball striking.